Gunfire and explosions have been heard here and in the second city of Kharkiv.
Russian troops have reportedly taken full control of
Vladimir Putin announced the move in an unscheduled TV address. He said
that Russia would bring in troops. He told Ukrainian troops to lay down arms and go home. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the largest invasion of a neighboring country in Europe since World War II.
Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives them the right to declare?
The brink of war. Hi guys, we're here again with another update on Russia bullying Ukraine. What's NATO planning? Where will this lead? And when can this end? Nothing is for sure, but we bring you the latest of what's happening at the borders. Watch till the end as we uncover what's going on at this very moment at the borders of Ukraine. Ukrainian soil turning into a war zone. Things are looking very grim for the Ukrainian soldiers as constant bombings and explosions from all over the place devour the borders and their military bases. President Zelensky is trying to get the spirit of the Ukrainians high while seeking help from anyone he can get. This is a very tough spot for him as he recently asked Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to call Putin and ask him to stop this madness. Modi called to find a way to bring all the Indian students studying in Ukraine to be deported back to India. A student on call with the Indian Express, an Indian news channel, told them that they were out to board the flight, but now that the airports are closed, they're in a bus with fighter jets flying above them. President Zelensky is trying to find an alternate way to deport them back to India, but with the country on lockdown, the chances are slim. A couple of days ago, an old lady, a resident of Marinka, Mrs. Valentine Gordevia, was injured with shrapnel that pierced her hand, the debris from a bombing at a school. A genocide was held that caused a mass migration, and things are escalating quicker. Russians are all over the border now, covering 3 sides, and 200,000 soldiers being stationed at the borders means things that are very serious, and Putin is sure to be in to occupy Ukraine. The Russians' peacekeepers definitely don't know how to keep the peace. These bombings are causing a lot of damage, and this will cause huge damage to the nation, making them weaker. With Russia bombing, Ukrainian land ruthlessly is causing a lot of damage with Russia, mainly targeting major Ukrainian cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, Mariupol, and Kramatorsk. Human lives are beginning to get jeopardized as 40 of the soldiers have lost their lives, 10 civilians have been killed, and 50 Russian forces have died, but it cannot be verified. Air bases have been targeted and civilian airplanes have been destroyed. Tanks are entering from the borders at Belarus and Crimea, with the capital Kyiv in the target. With the increase in assault, the death tolls are gradually increasing as a recent report said there were 18 people killed in the southern region of Odessa in Ukraine in a missile attack. 6 people were killed in Ukraine's town of Brobavri and located near Kyiv. Civilians are raising their hands to join the fight as President Zelensky urges anyone that can wield a weapon to come forth. While Hua Chunying, the Chinese foreign minister, is also trying to promote peace and stop this madness by maintaining restraints and not letting the situation go out of control, she also said that true security should be comprehensive and sustainable. Legitimate concerns by all parties should be respected and addressed. We hope that the parties engaged should not shut their door to peace. This shows that China also liked the NATO approach and wants to stay away from war. Author Donacha Obichain raised a very good point when he said, the world has to be asking itself, what the hell it was doing since 2014? Ukraine has been under occupation, has been invaded since 2014. The sanction that was initiated then and pursued then and since then not only have deterred Putin, but indeed emboldened him. 8 years later, back again claiming the additional pieces of Ukraine, deterring war on Ukraine. Ukraine is on its own and they know that no country will defend them militarily, even though many countries stand behind them. It's a lonely case and Putin blamed NATO and their expansion eastwards when there was no NATO expansion eastwards, but these were countries in Europe expanding westward. But as all of these discussions are going on, there are people at their borders dying while there's a traffic jam at the gas stations as cars pile up to refill their tanks and leave Kyiv. Some civilians are staying, trying to fight this dark day as they go into their bomb shelters and think of a plan. Planes are being shot down and oil prices are at 100 euros per barrel, and the nation is at the brink of war. Russians claim 5 people at the border, saying that Ukrainian military tried to cross the border, upon which Kyiv denies. The military is training self-defense to the civilians as tensions begin to rise. while the Russians say that they've evacuated about 40,000 people from the Donbas region as the Ukraine military creates a war zone. It seems like they're both pointing fingers at each other. The casualties are growing as a missile assault is wrecking the Ukrainian borders, while the civilians in Kiev are determined to fight back if necessary. Putin at this point might be testing NATO's dependability as he sits back and bullies Ukraine. This could go well over a week, and the message that he seems to give is that he will respond to the sanctions by causing damage to Europe. Jens Stoltenberg, the security general at NATO, recently announced that the Russians have broken the international law that kept the world peaceful for decades, and now NATO has sent their troops on standby. This was the last warning, and if the Russians do not retrieve their soldiers, then things could get severe and more than just sanctions. NATO always tries to keep a diplomatic approach, and they're still trying to negotiate, but Russia seems to listen to no one. Every leader in the world is talking about things that they would diplomatically do to Russia, but people are dying at the borders on the street and they cannot be recovered. Russia will pay, but Ukraine is already paying. NATO is getting ready to breach and intervene in the invasion, but Putin's last resource is nuclear, and NATO knows that will be the case, and so they're at least a bit restricted. The French leader said that this could lead to a war as the ghost of the past is rising, but every leader is scared of the nuclear power, and no matter who drops it. On the other hand, the whole day Ukrainians are running around in fear, with some seeking refuge in the neighboring countries and some holding a defensive stance, ready to fight against the aggressor. That's what's happening at the moment, and we will keep you posted as this aggression rises its magnitude. We are constantly keeping up with the news and keeping an eye during times of distress. Until next time.